Well, this is a very deep fucking story. A crazy fucking story. This is an event that occurred years ago, and this one is going to explain why is there a picture of my mugshot on the internet. This is a very crazy fucking story, and it may be a little lengthy story too. So bear with me. This goes back probably 10 years ago or something like that. Maybe even more, probably like 10 to 15 years ago or something like that. Anyhow, I'd say about 10 years. Yeah, about 10 years ago, something like that. Roughly 10 years ago. Basically, I was dealing with a female, and well, let's just go back. Let me just rewind a little bit. How did I meet her? Let's start from how did I meet her. Well, I met this female at a bus stop, and I guess we weren't alike. We're totally different, totally opposite, totally different worlds. And she looked fine, man. Gorgeous young lady, man. African American female, fine as hell, fucking gorgeous, man. And I guess I wasn't her type. Two different worlds. Here I come from like a, a little, I say a little up, like a little middle class family, and she was like inner city female whatsoever. She came from a very, let's just say, streetish background and stuff like that. And here I come, I come from a family of immigrants. We have a different way of viewing life, and a little something like that. So I'm a college kid, man. I'm in college, whatever. And anyhow, I met this female at a bus stop one day, and we started kicking it, and we just left it as that. It didn't go anywhere. So one day I happened to be on a bus, and she happened to be on a bus too. And there was this guy being picked on, and I stood up for the guy. He was making fun of him. I stood up for him. And, when I stood up for him, everything was like quiet. And the guys got a little intimidated because I stood up for the guy that they was picking on. And this chick was like, the chick that I met at the bus stop like previously, she happened to be on a bus. And I guess she liked that. And she started talking to me afterwards. And we started kicking it, she gave me her number, and we started kicking into stuff, And from there on, it was like, man, we just started kicking it. We started kicking it, going out and stuff. And then down the line, we started kicking it. And it was like, man, we started getting in the intimate area. So when we got in a relationship, in the beginning, it was all right. Because it's like we're friends and stuff like that. But then all our vices started coming out. We're totally different people, man. Totally different people. Totally different worlds. And what happened was I met her family. And it was like they liked me because I came from a different world. I was a person that was always reading books. I was like a fucking nerd, and I wasn't into that street shit, I was a fucking, proper kid, man, into my books and shit. And, the family accepted me, they accepted me. And it was on point from there on. So anyhow, we started deferring, in views and things of that nature, but we still kept it together. So, later on, we started getting into difficulties with views and stuff like that, because I was a college dude, and I was focused on school, and she was focused on, like work and stuff like that, So we deferred, she was more pushing towards, being independent and having her own and stuff like that. And she was pushing me in a role of responsibility. And I will give her to that. She was the first female that introduced me into being independent, And we just had different views, but I did take from that. But later on, we started deferring, and it was like, we started getting into a lot of arguments and this and that, So what happened was, like, this is my first time, like, this chick was like, man, I tell you, this is like, when I tell you extreme hatred, like, it's like we'd get into arguments, man, I'm telling you that the arguments is like fueled with hatred, man. Like, this chick, anyhow, being honest, man, this is kind of rough, man. This is like the second girlfriend that I had, but this chick just drove me AWOL, man. So I was like, fuck it, man. I think part of that was like, man, I fucking cheated on her. That was like my first time cheating on her and shit. And it was like, that was like the downfall from there, man. It was like, man, the chick brought the worst out of me, and it was like, fuck, that's my first time cheating on a chick. So, anyhow, she forgave me and shit. So anyway, months down the line, we get into an argument. She cheats on me. So, all right, cool. So, it was what it was. And therefore, later on, we got back together again. So, it's more, more of the same shit. Arguing back and forth, arguing back and forth, arguing back and forth. So it started getting intense, man, to the point where we would get into like wrestling and shit, fighting and stuff, and, grabbing each other and shit like that, basic shit that young motherfuckers do, So we started, the second year we got together, shit was like rocky, man, because now I'm starting getting involved. I meet up with her brother, man. Her brother was heavy into the streets, and it's like, man, he started introducing me. Like, I started getting environments, meeting some street motherfuckers and shit, you know what I'm saying? Like, here it goes. I'm a motherfucker that comes from like all right, yeah, I was into cage fighting and shit, but that's not, cage fighting is one thing. But when you enter into the concrete jungle, the streets, it's a totally different world. It's no longer about fist fighting anymore. It's so much details, intricate shit. So I started getting involved, man, learning about the streets. Being around street motherfuckers, man. I'm telling you, I was from like close to Bloomfield. I was a person that came up in East Orange and shit. I mean, East Orange is not that good of a place, but still, where we lived, it was like a borderline nice area whatsoever. So just imagine me going from that place to like the heart of fucking, Compton, California. You know what I'm saying? Just give you an analogy. So, man, started dealing with her brothers. Brother was moving weight and shit, moving, drugs and shit. So it was like, okay, I started seeing how the world was revolving. How the world revolved in that lifestyle. I was living like on Freela Highs and Nav, because at one point, I started staying with my chick, my ex-girlfriend and shit, So, basically, the world that I was living in was like, man, you gotta muscle up. You gotta start getting aggressive too, because the environment is calling you to adapt. So anyhow, with that came, came more of the nonsense, because now she's starting to see me change. I'm starting to become more of a street nigga, wanting to identify with that, hanging with her brother. You know what I'm saying? So like, my personality started changing, So her thing was, she was on some pushing for a nigga that was doing constructive shit, because I kind of lost my path. I started being more interested in street shit. So she wanted somebody that was, let's just say, working, doing positive, constructive things, which I was working. But the downfall was I was investing all my money into books and literature and reading, but I still had one foot in the street shit. You know what I'm saying? Wanting to be active, you know what I'm saying? So from there on, man, it was like, man, it was different, like views, like we were deferred. So what happened was, chick was like, she didn't want to deal with me anymore. You know what I mean? So she left and she'd come back, she'd leave and she'd come back, leave and come back, leave and come back. And it just became a nuisance to me at the time. This was like borderline when I started really getting into work, man, like really putting in the work, spiritual work. Because at that time I had knowledge of it, but I wasn't mature to say like, man, I was putting this thing to use, So it was later in that time period when I was dealing with her that I met with somebody, you know what I'm saying? I met with somebody that was African American, and his brother was deep. This was a serious OG. This motherfucker was a gangster from the 80s. I mean, listen, this guy was a gangster, certified gangster. This nigga was moving millions of dollars of like heroin in the 80s in Newark, New Jersey. One of the biggest drug dealers in like the 80s in Newark, New Jersey. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, I connected with this guy on a weird level because I started picking up occult books. So one day I'm in the shop whatsoever. I'm in his gym, and he sees me reading this occult book, and he starts trying to figure me out, because you know, usually certain people that's into this, they kind of suspicious, like, you know what I'm saying, what this motherfucker know? This was before social media. This was before Facebook. Niggas ain't know nothing about Facebook or, you know what I'm saying, YouTube, none of that shit. So it was like, dude took me under his wing. We started politicking, and we started opening up and started talking and shit like that. We started talking to cult. So my chick left me, man. My chick left me. And I told the man, and he was like, yo, try this. He said, Joe, try this powder here. I'm not gonna label the powder because I know I'm a businessman today. So he gave me this powder. He said, Joe, try this. And he said, listen, all right, put a name in the powder and burn this powder, right? So, man, I did that shit. Bruh, I don't know what the fuck happened, but OMG, yo, OMG. Holy shit. It was like, bro, this fucking feeling came over me. We call that shit the heebie-jeebies back in the day. You know what I'm saying? That's what we called it. We called it the heebie-jeebies. Oh my God, yo. It was like, instead of the shit hitting her, it was like I felt the shit hit me, bro. It was like I couldn't even sit still. When that shit hit me, I was like, oh my God. Like it was nothing at first, but then again, it started mentally. Where mentally I'll be talking to this dude like, yo, so when do you think my ex is gonna come back, man? When do you think she's gonna come back? You know what I mean? Like, yo, you chill, just give this thing some time. So anyway, all right, left it alone. Hours later, the motherfucking Jones came over me again. I'm like, holy shit. I started bugging. I started tweaking. I'm telling you, it's the craziest feeling ever. It's like this, man, I think it has to be a Jones that a motherfucking crackhead or a heroin addict has. That shit had me shaking. That shit had me shaking like, oh, I gotta talk to her. So I called my man up. He's like, yo, you bugging. He said, Joe, he was like, you bugging. He started laughing. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, what you laughing for? Because he said the shit happened to him. You know what I'm saying? So it was a bad batch of some shit. I don't remember. I don't think he gave that batch to me, or he told me where to get it or the name of it or some shit. So I got that batch. So anyway, come to find out the batch was bad. You know what I'm saying? So and this is something that y'all people should take in consideration when getting fucking powder from stores, yo. You know what I'm saying? Like getting shit from botanicas. Cause that shit backfired on me, man. I'm telling you, I was like to the point where this shit literally made me cry, yo. This shit had me crying, yo. So, man, I'm telling you. So, I kept on calling this dude up back and forth. Like, call him I'd hang up the phone and I'll call him back. You know what I'm saying? And then from there on, this shit had me broken down to the point where I'll call my ex-girlfriend up. You know what I'm saying? While she left me, I'll be like, hey, how are you? You know what I'm saying? I just called to check on you. And shit like that. That shit had me obsessed, yo. Like to the point where I had to call her. If I didn't call her, this shit felt like I was gonna die, yo. Like literally, it's like this feeling that comes over you like, oh my God, yo. And not only that, that shit's fucking draining, yo. That shit's draining. It's like that shit turned me into a fiend for my ex, yo. So, anyhow, that shit went on. I figured out a new method. You know what I'm saying? We started getting into like mixing herbs and, you know what I'm saying? Mixing herbs and turn them into like, you know what I'm saying? Liquids and shit, you know what I'm saying? And we started working on the candles, man. We started, you know what I'm saying? Putting these shits on candles. We started testing shit out, man. And then one day, I put shorty name. I'm not gonna show how. I'm gonna give how I did it. I utilized girl picture with a mixture that I made. You know what I'm saying? And she started bugging. She started tweaking. You know what I'm saying? But at the time, I was ignorant instead of jotting down what I used, I forgot it. You know what I'm saying? So what happened was, you know what I mean? I had that combination made and I put it up. So what happened was she started bugging, she started joning, she started tweaking and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? So it was kind of short-lived because candles are short-lived. When you burn that shit, it's short-lived. So it became a cycle of, you know, she didn't want to be with me. She'd go out and do her stupid shit, and she'd probably go out and fucking meet some new nigga because she feel like, oh, the new nigga had a nice car, the nigga got money, the nigga got this and that, you know what I mean? So I was like making, you know, fucking minimum wage. And here she goes, she got a good job in the motherfucking union and shit, you know what I'm saying? And you know what I'm saying? She made a nigga feel small. You know what I mean? She'll leave me, she go out with these fuck niggas and shit, you know what I'm saying? So what happened now, she go out with these fuck niggas and shit, I hit her with the work. You know what I'm saying? And then what later happened was we started refining the shit. We started refining the combinations. And we started learning about other shit. You know what I'm saying? And what happened was we got this thing called a Rambo. You know, and we called it the Rambo. And it was like some work to anybody that comes in between you and her the shit would just knock them off. It would destroy any type of shit. So every time she would meet a new nigga, I'd drop the bomb on her. Boom, boom. Drop the bomb on her. Boom, boom, boom. You know what I'm saying? So it was like, you know what I'm saying? She'd come back, you know what I mean? She'd stay, whatever, she'd get pissed off and she'd leave. So anyway, we went through like 2 years of this bullshit. You know what I'm saying? Her leaving, coming back, leaving, coming back, leaving, coming back. Me dropping work on, boom, boom, dropping work. Destroying relationships left and right. Boom, she coming back, boom. You know what I mean? So anyhow, it got to a point where that shit became redundant. I remember I had it, you know what? I got it to a point where the shit was locked on her, man. I had the chick tweaking to the point where she could not leave. And this is a lesson I learned where I usually say never take no shit off of the person. Once you got that, once you got them where you want them to, where you got them heebie-jeebie and stuck on you, never take that shit off of them. Yo, so anyhow, I had it to a point where this chick was making me breakfast, man. This chick was making me breakfast. This chick was making me dinner. This chick was doing everything for me, man. And it was to a point where the chick wanted to be around me so much, I started getting pissed off. Like, yo, leave me the fuck alone. This chick was always on me, trying to have sex with me every single day. I'm like, yo, this shit crazy. I don't want this chick on me like this. So I took the shit apart. Lo and behold, oh my God. As soon as I took the shit off her, she went back to her old fucking ways, bro. And it was like, man, to get her back in that position, man, it took some time, man. It's like, it was time that I didn't have, man. So anyhow, later on, I lost my combo. I lost my combo of how to, like, you know what I'm saying, the combination I was using at the beginning. And from there on, it was like I never had the control anymore after that. So basically, the burning stuff, the candles wasn't working for me because it's almost like when I burnt it, I would feel the effects of it. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't know at that time period that I had the wrong combination when I mixed it. That's why I was feeling that type of way. So I left that shit alone because it's like, for me, it just felt like I couldn't do it. Because if I did the work, I would feel part of it. I would feel part of it. You know what I'm saying? So I just completely abandoned that method that I was using. So I started getting deep into some fucking, you know what I'm saying, Goetia shit. You know what I'm saying? I started using this spirit named Citri, right? Now, Citri, that spirit was crazy. I would tell this spirit, yo, I want this bitch to suck my dick every single day. I wanted to give her the pussy any day, anytime I wanted. Yo, this chick, she was obsessed with sucking my dick, yo. I swear, yo, this chick was obsessed with sucking my dick, fucking me left and right, you know what I'm saying? And it was like, after a while, man, I was like, I don't know, I just wanted, like, I was kind of tired of that shit. And, you know, I just basically jumped on some other shit. I was like, all right, cool, I got Citri down. And then after a while, you know, just faded out, fizzled out. You know what I'm saying? And then from there on, I started getting deeper and deeper into the fucking Goetia. And I was like, yo, let me see what this Lariah spirit could do. I think it's Lariah or Laray J or some shit, you know what I'm saying? Oh, man, they say that spirit makes wounds not heal. It can cause battles and wars. So she met this new motherfucker. This motherfucker, he had her. This nigga, she like left completely. This chick was the longest time I ever seen. She stayed away. But you know what? She hooked up with my mom. She started doing my business with my mom. You know what I'm saying? So, oh man, this job backfired on me, man. This shit, I'm telling you, never. If you don't know what the fuck you doing, stay away from certain spirits. And this is a lesson I learned with spirits in general. If you don't know their ritual, leave them the fuck alone. So, yo, anyhow, I did this work with this spirit named Lariah. I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. So, chick comes over one day. Nobody's at the house. She comes to do some work for my mom. She's like a painter, union painter. So she comes to the house and nobody was there. And I was just so fucking pissed off that she did me like that. She left me and shit, you know what I'm saying? So I was talking to her. She got an attitude, you know what I'm saying? So, you know what I'm saying? She got an attitude and she was like, yo, I don't know. It just led to some domestic violence shit. We started wrestling on the floor and shit. Like the shit turned upside down, yo. The bitch grabbed some shit. She poked me with the shit, you know what I'm saying? Like, yo, blood started leaking everywhere and shit, you know what I'm saying? Like, yo, her whole clothes had blood on that shit, you know what I'm saying? So, you know what I mean? Basically, yeah, you know, it got into domestic violence shit. So, you know, closed fist hit the female in the face and shit, you know what I'm saying? And like, yo, the shit led to some crazy ass fucking war. When I tell you, holy shit, this shit led into some crazy ass shit. Blood was on the floor. My mom comes over minutes after. She doesn't know what the fuck happens. The chick runs out the door. Blood's all over her clothes. My mom's wondering what the fuck happened. Like probably 20 minutes later, 30 minutes later, all we just hear, car pulls up full of fucking niggas, man. Like, yo, my brother comes from work. All of a sudden, we hear these niggas get out the car. Poo, 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 poo. My brother comes out like, yo, what the fuck is going on? These niggas start jumping my brother, you know what I'm saying? So, oh shit, the MMA fighter has to come out the fucking house. The kids are in the house. My mom comes over with my foster brothers, you know what I'm saying, my sisters and all that type of shit. So the MMA fighter has to come outside the fucking house, you know what I'm saying? Like they jump my brother, I come through, boom, hit Puerto Rican nigga, you know what I'm saying? Hit that nigga with like a 20-piece cup, like I'm exaggerating. I hit that nigga with some fire, man. Boom, 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 boom. Hit that nigga. Nigga drop, you know what I'm saying? That nigga holding his head and shit. Next nigga come out of nowhere, you know what I'm saying? My brother tussling. I help my brother out with the next nigga, you know what I'm saying? Boom, 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 boom. So big Bolo, you nigga come out of nowhere. Big Bolo nigga come out of nowhere. I'm telling you, this nigga was solid, yo. Oh, man. We start tussling, you know what I'm saying? So, dude, we standing up, you know what I'm saying? My knuckle game sharp. Dude threw a jab at me. I hit him with a right cross. Boom! You know what I'm saying? Nigga felt that shit. Rocked his jaw. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, we stand up tussling. You know what I'm saying? All of a sudden, ex-girlfriend father come out of nowhere and grab me. This is why in the picture, if you look at the picture of my incarceration, you see the side of my jaw is fucking swollen. The chick's father pulled my back, you know, pulled my shirt. You know what I'm saying? And when he pulled my shirt, the other nigga, the nigga I was, like the nigga I hit with the right cross, he hit me in the fucking side of the jaw. Nigga was bigger than me. Yeah, I had to be like 140 at the time. Nigga had to be like 200. You know what I'm saying? So the nigga hit me, boom. You know what I'm saying? Oh my God, I'm telling you, that shit rocked my jaw and shit, you know what I'm saying? And when I fell, you know what I'm saying? That was like it, you know what I'm saying? All the niggas got into the car because the police, the people called the police and shit. You know what I'm saying? People call the police, OMG. You know what I'm saying? Dust was everywhere. You know what I'm saying? I had blood on my shirt from the fucking stab wound I caught. You know what I'm saying? And, oh, man. So, anyhow, police come out of nowhere and shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was what it was, you know? I ended up going to the hospital, get stitched up and shit. You know what I'm saying? Come to find out, yo, I sent old girl messages. The police was after her, some shit, whatever, you know what I'm saying? And, you know what I mean? I sent her some crazy ass messages, right? But you know how Popo do, right? So, actually, it wasn't that at that time. No, I think how the fuck, it was so long, I'm trying to think, what did I do? I think when did I send her a message afterwards? Or no, actually, after that shit happened, I think I went to the house, I think I went to the hospital, after I came from the hospital, yo, I think it was like, Man, I'm trying to think, what did I do afterwards? When I went to the hospital, I got stitched up. It was what it was. I think I went home afterwards. And I think when I went home afterwards, yeah, it was like I sent some messages. I said, everybody going to pay for what the fuck they did. The ex, my ex, her father, you know what I'm saying? The brother, the other nigga, you know, the motherfuckers that was involved in that shit. Puerto Rican nigga, I don't know. He just was like a swagger. He just tagged along and shit. I don't know what happened to him. But the shit that happened afterwards, I'm going to tell you what I did. I went out because it was so embarrassing. I was just so like, yo, my mom had to see that shit. You know what I'm saying? My mom had to see that shit. You brought all these motherfuckers over and my mom had to witness that. Oh no. I went to some location, open field, and I called on Erzulie's Rouge. And if you know, in Haitian voodoo, nobody calls on Erzulie's Rouge. It's like it's almost like Marinette. I would say it's people. Marinette is crazy, but I would prefer to work with Marinette before you get involved with Erzulie's Rouge. Because when you call on Erzulie's Rouge, motherfuckers is dropping like flies. Ain't no, oh, I'm going to paralyze you. I'm going to fuck you. No, niggas is going to die. So anyway, I went to the open field. You know what I'm saying? If I can remember, I said, Joe, I want a father to pay. I want her to pay. I want the brother to pay. I want these motherfuckers that did me wrong. And not only that, oh man, this shit was crazy. I said, I want all these motherfuckers to pay for what they did. They made my mother see this shit. They made my sister see this shit. These are kids. They not even adults. These like 50s and teenagers. They had to see that shit. So yo, let me tell you something. Erzulie's Rouge, her number is 7. And we already know daggers in the heart and stuff like that is a symbol. So anyhow, shit goes on. We haven't spoken afterwards. We went through judicial situation. You know what I mean? Anyway, let me get back to the story. After I did that, actually, I ended up getting incarcerated because I sent some messages and I said, yo, I sent a message like, yo, all that shit y'all you did, you caused, y'all gonna pay for that. You know what I'm saying? Your father, all them niggas, they gonna pay for that. Oh, the police had a phone. The police was like, yo, come down to the station. We just want to talk to you for some shit. So you already know the game. I wasn't hip to the motherfucking police like that. So niggas came, I came there, you know what I mean? Niggas locked me up, whatever, you know what I'm saying? So we had to go through some trial shit, you know what I'm saying? And basically, it's like we both dropped charges and shit. You know what I'm saying? My mom's a good person because my mom actually tried to help my ex out because they was really trying to indict her on some fucking heavy charges, criminal charges, federal charges they were trying to hit her with. My mom had a lawyer, you know what I'm saying? My mom gave my ex a lawyer to help her out and shit, you know what I'm saying? So that shit right there was like, yo, where it went after that, man, we didn't talk for a hot minute. She continued talking about mom. My mom was cool with her and shit, you know what I'm saying? Yo, like 7 months later, out of nowhere, we apologized, the families apologized, we connected after that. 7 months later, her father catches a massive heart attack and dies. From there on, the brother, after that scenario, the brother who was there, he was in a room with his girlfriend and some other random niggas. And they had this AK-47 in the room. And this is crazy. Because we kind of pieced it up and we was hanging together. And I remember that AK-47. You know what I'm saying? Them niggas had that shit in my truck. And one day I wasn't there hanging out with them. It's crazy. How do we connect? How do we end up hanging out after some crazy shit like that? Come to find out, the girlfriend of the brother who was in a situation, some crazy situation happened. Some nigga was playing with the gun. They don't know who did it. The gun goes off accidentally and shoots the brother's girlfriend. She ends up fucking dying. Everybody that was there, Puerto Rican nigga, the brother, they end up getting hit with manslaughter. Because nobody confessed, nobody snitched. Everybody went down. They got 7 years apiece. You hear that? 7. The father died in the 7 months. In the 7th month, the brother ended up getting 7 years. The Puerto Rican nigga got 7 years. And that's what that happened with that. Now, what happened to the girlfriend, the ex-girlfriend? Man, this shit was crazy. This chick she was driving one day, and she was like, I don't know how it happened. She was driving. Out of nowhere, a stolen car comes out of nowhere. Boom! Crashes into her, car flips over. Man, she survived, but she was in a coma for a hot minute. You know what I'm saying? She was in a coma. You know what I'm saying? So, like, after a while, she came out of the coma, and she was never the same again. But she had to go through rehab, rehabilitation, and all that type of shit. You know what I'm saying? And she didn't even really get any money like that out of that. So when she got better, we started talking again. And it wasn't the same anymore. So much things transpired. And I'm thinking that she probably put 2 and 2 together. Because she know I was into the magie. You know what I'm saying? And she know I was serving. You know what I mean? So she gave, you know, our final dealings where she was like, yo, will I leave all that stuff alone to be with her? And I said, no. And that was the end of that story. Yup. That's a true story. So when you see that motherfucking picture online, you know what I'm saying? With my face fucking swollen, that's the story behind that. Facts. And if you would ever research the people that were involved in that, and you would see facts. Everything I said is exactly what happened. The father ended up dying. The chick ended up in motherfucking, you know, having to go to rehab. You know what I'm saying? Because she was in a coma. The motherfucking brother's girlfriend fucking died. This nigga ended up getting 7 years. All them niggas got 7. You know, all them niggas that was in the situation. That's what happened. So, that's my story for tonight.